who were you before this work found you? And like what were the
Mhm.
pivotal life experiences that shaped or crafted the facilitator that you've become?
Oh, that's such a beautiful question. Personally, I would say I was a pretty insecure and unclear person. I didn't have a real sense of who I was. And I was very much a people pleaser, caretaker, doormat in my life. That was my early childhood imprinting to perform and care for others to get my needs met. So I was on this roller coaster and I found my way to conventional therapy. And I did that for 5.5 years. I did Al Anon, 12 step. I did a lot of different conventional pieces. And then I found my way to the educational aspect of this. So I went and got my doctorate in psychology. And although there's a lot of heady pieces to that, you're actually walking through the parts yourself while you're in school. So even the textbooks are confronting. You could be sitting there crying, going, oh my gosh, this concept really resonates for me. So even in that, I felt like it was pretty clear developmental work for me. And then I found my way to group containers. This is probably 15 years into my traditional self evolution work. And the first group container for me was magic because having that mirroring, having that non-judgmental reflection, having the ability to see yourself in new ways through other people was extremely powerful for me. I didn't feel like I had that growing up. My parents weren't good at mirroring. They didn't really help me to develop my own sense of self. So group container is where I started developing my sense of self. And at around that time, I became a psychologist. I've been practicing for 15 years. And so that also, from my personal experience in the transformational spaces, I asked the question, can I bring the therapeutic, which is more heady and talk therapy, can I bring that into these more transformational spaces in a healthy, safe, trauma-informed way? And so, yeah, that was my inspiration to go this direction. And through doing the group work and the individual work over time, I really found my way to more wholeness. And I would say the most impactful work for me was the inner child work. Um, I don't know if you got to meet Barry Green when you were in San Diego. He was a psychologist for 40 years. He ran a body mind school. He was a master in Tai Chi and Qigong. And I was able to experience his last body of work before he passed away in 2019 of cancer. And it was a 4-day intensive on reprogramming the nervous system of inner child imprints. And at the end of those 4 days, I felt different. And I received a letter from my mother. And I hadn't been speaking to her for 6 months. This was in 2014. And I read it first thing in the morning, and I was expecting a reaction. It was passive aggressive, it was blaming, and all I could see was her attempts at repair, poor attempts at repair, but I didn't feel the normal reaction. So I called him up. It had only been a day, but I was like, Barry, I don't know what to do with this. Maybe I need to go have some coffee and wake myself up, but I'm not reacting to my mom's letter. And he said, yeah, you've neutralized those imprints in your nervous system. So now you get to choose what you do. And I went, oh my gosh, that's so liberating. My nervous system is updated. It's almost like the software was like 1999. What do we used to call that? The like, I don't even know. It wasn't even Microsoft
Hard
back
disk,
then.
like a hard
Yeah,
disk.
hard disk. It was just like old software. And so I could feel that update. And the update was, now I get to respond from who I am now to my mother. And so pairing the nervous system work with the group work, just, it called me. I was like, I really need and want to do this with people and see if we can create a bridge here.
I really love that. Thank you for that introduction from like caretaking, performative Stacy up through, we got like up through Stacy psychologist into now you meet this revolutionary new work around your inner child, and it starts reprogramming something in your nervous system. And now you're having a transformative experience where now your relationship with your mother is dramatically different than it was before. And I'm curious, like, how did you choose to respond to your mom in that letter?
I called her, actually. I didn't even respond to the letter. I ended up calling her and we had a repair. And I was able to speak to her intent instead of the impact of how she was showing up. And I was able to hold that because I realized that I was now the more whole in the dyad. My self-evolution had gone beyond what my mother's was. And so now I was holding a new point in the relationship. And because I had done the inner child work, I was in the process of coming into full wholeness with my inner child. So I didn't need her to be my mommy anymore. I didn't need her to repair a childhood that had already happened. I was now collaborating with that younger version of myself and showing up for her in the ways that my mother wasn't capable. So she was allowed to then have room to be the imperfect human that she is on this planet without all that pressure.
It touches me. I like have tears welling up hearing you share this. It's so beautiful.
Can I share another moment that was really profound?
Please.
So a few, I've been doing this inner child work in group settings for since 2017, and it's evolved over the years. And the last 4 years has been larger groups and deeper learning. And my mother had to come live with me for a year and a half. And yeah, she and my stepdad. And my mother and I had this moment where she accidentally gave some new clothes to Goodwill, didn't check in with me. And she's deeply avoidant. And so she went into this deep avoidant state and ignored me like a teenager would for several days. And it brought back all the moments my mom was avoidant in my childhood and abandoned me when I was emotional or had a need. And instead of going to her to fix that, I showed up for my inner child and cried with her and held her for several days. And then I went to my mom to repair. And I asked her what she was afraid of. And she said, I'm afraid you're going to criticize me and yell at me. And I said, who did that to you? Where does that come from? And she said, my mother. And so there was this beautiful moment where I was able to provide my mother with a corrective, upgraded experience as her mother. And so I looked at her and said, I'm not going to yell at you and I'm not going to criticize you, but I still need to share how I feel about this. And it was such a beautiful full circle moment that I was able to give my mom what her mother wasn't able to give to her because of the transgenerational aspect of this work.
It's profound that she gets to have a daughter like you and that she gets to have that choice, and that she gets to be loved and accepted for where she's capable, like where she's able to be, and that she doesn't lose the connection with you, but that you find connection with her there. Like, that's such a profound experience that so few people get.
And that wouldn't have been possible if my inner child didn't trust me and didn't feel loved and taken care of and seen by me. She's good. She doesn't need my mom to repair all these things because I did it with her. And that really is one of the keys to wholeness, is going back and remembering those original imprints, remembering how we were shaped when we were becoming who we were. By the time we're 10, 80% of our beliefs about ourselves are formed. 80%. So it's almost a no-brainer to go, I need to go back there and figure out what actually feels true for me and what is actually what people put onto me.
I'll name that. I'm in my own process right now with my father, whose dementia is progressing and is no longer able to be my father, but hasn't been able to be my father for quite a long time, if I'm honest. But it's a new level of me having to care for him. And I think part of the emotion is that, like, I can't do those things with him that you're doing with your mom. Like, they're so beautiful. And he's not even capable of that conversation. So there's a envious but touched place in me that's like, I wish I could have that with him. I wish I could, I wish I could do that with him, and it's not an option anymore.
I have a lot of people come do my workshop that their parents have passed or they're about to pass. My workshop last week, someone's mother passed 4 days after we ended the workshop. Almost every workshop had a parent that is close to passing or passes away within a week or two. And you'd actually be really surprised the amount of peace, clarity, and resolve you can find with them on the soul level by doing the work with your little self in the subconscious realms. And even with dementia, they still have their nervous system and their emotional body online, just their mental body is decompensated. So we hold memories in the nervous system. We hold memories in our heart called neurites. So people say, I don't remember things before the age of 8. How am I supposed to do this work if I can't even remember this part of myself? I'm like, there's a remembering, not just in the autobiographical, but in the physical body as well. So there's probably more possibilities than you are aware of. Yeah.
Than I'm imagining. Yeah. That's amazing to hear. Thank you. Thank you for that hope. There is still a part that I'm grieving, and
absolutely. I'm not trying to negate that. Yeah.
But let's talk more about the childhood experience. I'd love for you to describe a little bit more of the essence and the emotional feel of these workshops, particularly for someone who's unfamiliar. I imagine most people aren't familiar with inner child work.
So I have designed this workshop for optimal integration. That's really my heart around this. I want people to walk away and have the maximized impact in their life. And so the actual architecture, I can't even say that word right now, is on four levels. So we have the teaching. So I actually, for Geek Out, we have a lesson every day that brings people into a better understanding. So the adult meaning making of the content we're working with, and it's interactive and explorative. And even in this classroom environment, people are allowed to wiggle and move and stand and go sit in the forward or the self-care corner. It's not your traditional sit and receive information. It's really drawing out the shared experiences and people finding themselves in the topics we're talking about. So half the people are in tears by the end of the lessons, just recognizing themselves. The second layer is the tools, and we have three tools we do every day in the workshop to really instill those in the nervous system. And then we have another 2 or 3 we do intermittently or when people need them. And they're focused on the nervous system. So nervous system regulation, nervous system neutralizing, like I was speaking about some of the work I did with Barry. There's something similar to EMDR. There's a tool that's similar to like a physical NLP, so people that need to be kinesthetic, and other tools. So we do those every day. The third is exercises. So these are group experiences that actually take you into the inner child experience. So there's play, there's creativity, there's spontaneity, and helping people really touch back into what does it mean to be childlike? Because our version of what adulting is can be really distorted. So trust, vulnerability, play, expression, courage. There's so many different aspects that come through people when they're able to play in different ways. We get so silly. I mean, belly laugh on the floor, ridiculous, silly. The play where you're so present and so in it that you forget everything else. You forget what you look like. You forget what other people think of you. You forget what you're thinking. You're just in it. And those reference points are really special and important for people. And then the fourth layer, I call them immersive experiences. Some people call them rituals, where there's more intentionality, there's more time, there's more setting the framing and the container for that experience. And that allows for more vulnerability. Some people might need a little bit of catharsis, release. A lot of those are a parallel process. So people choose their content. And near the end, we do some collaborative experiences where people can really see how working together, you can create what we call corrective experiences. And we have themes in this workshop. We have themes like corrective experience.
Take a moment for anyone who's not familiar with that phrase, corrective experience, to just unpack that a little bit.
Sure. So a corrective experience is a new reference point in the now that's an upgrade that you feel in your body, in your nervous system. You say, I want to believe that about myself, that I belong, or that I'm not too much, that I can express myself, that my weirdness is awesome. So whatever that is, it's a new reference point, whether you courageously initiate that or someone offers it to you and you notice it. What are people typically working on? Oh, wow. So many different things. So anything family of origin, mother, father, we go pretty deep into that in this workshop. Imprints from community. A lot of themes that we see in this work are anywhere from bullying, sexual abuse, physical abuse, wide range of insecurities, attachment, all different types of relational attachment. In fact, even the group field will show up in a particular attachment style often. We deal with chronic freeze, different types of dissociation, people that have come to this country as an immigrant, so immigrant trauma, parents with addiction issues, mental health issues, siblings and family members with illness, early childhood death experiences, you name it, it's welcome in this work. It's the range is so vast because we're playing and laughing and ecstatic, and we're also going to the very core wounds that originally shaped who people are. So it's deeply vulnerable and deeply heart-centered. As people regress, which they do, some people are just 5 for a day. I've had one of my organizers that organized a workshop completely 5 for the entire day. I'm like, great, you be 5. And there's you can't help fall in love with people when you meet their inner child. All these people I've met around the country, getting to know the core of who they are and where they come from, you just end up falling in love with all of them, honestly. You really understand why people are the way they are because you get to know their beginnings.
Yeah. I want to talk now about, you're still also a psychologist and you work with private clients one-on-one, and then you're also a group facilitator. And I want to talk about like what are the different possibilities or differences around one-on-one versus group work here for you?
Good question. They're vastly different, actually. um, First of all, when I work, even working with a dyad, like a couple versus an individual is different. When you're working with an individual, the attunement is just to them, their nervous system, their thought process, their emotional body, their behaviors. So it's very focused on them. When you're working in a group field, you're listening to the entire heartbeat and movement of the collective as well as the individual. So you have to have that plasticity, that flexibility to zoom in to the individual and then zoom out to the collective. So there's a lot more holding. Even when you're working with a dyad, the relationship becomes the client. So I'm attuning to 2 different nervous systems, 2 different perspectives, and trying to hold the perception up here and hold all the pieces to help for forward movement. So the level of complexity when you go from individual to dyad to group, it gets higher and higher and higher. Even if the individual is quite complex, it's nothing compared to the group field, which I actually love the challenge of that because the interaction then becomes the, say, client. So in my women's group, I'll give you an example there. Therapeutically, they become the therapist. They learn how to intervene and support each other. And I'm just holding the guardrails and every once in a while interjecting or massaging, but they've learned how to interact with each other. When you're in a short-term group field, like these types of intensive week-long workshops, the way I listen is different. I'm listening to the movement. I'm listening to the gestures. I'm listening when the energy goes down or the energy is rising up. I'm listening to the retraction, the collective retraction. I'm listening to the anxiety. So it's a different listening for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what are the different opportunities that come from being in a group then? Like, for example, let's like, I guess just to give a different in on this question, which is like, okay, I'm a client and I'm like, should I be doing one-on-one work with Stacy or should I go into her group? Which is going to benefit me more for where I'm at? What is the distinction around what group work gives someone that one-on-one couldn't?
So group work, in my opinion, gives a much larger permission field for change. When you have the entire group in agreement, this is our agreements, we collectively want to change because change requires discomfort. And so when everyone says, I'm going to get uncomfortable and the person next to me is going to get uncomfortable and the other person on the other side of me is going to get uncomfortable too, there's a larger permission field to go where you need to go. There's also that collective mirroring of, I'm okay in the right, the appropriately held container. Let me put it that way. Like there's more opportunities to see where you're okay. A patient can question me. Oh, well, that's just Dr. Ellis or Stacy. That's just her opinion. But when you've got 10, 25 other people giving you the same reflection, oh, do I want to believe that they're right or do I want to believe my story's right? So now you have more evidence to challenge that perspective as well. And there's something extremely heartwarming and connective as well when the group is empowered and they have a lot of choice points and they're cheering each other on. That you don't have available when it's just one person cheering you on.
Yeah. It's a beautiful way to also just dismantle the authority piece where the psychologist or the therapist is in that authority role, and here the reflections are coming more from that peer to peer led perspective is what I hear you saying.
That definitely, I mean, that has to me, that's a component of safety and creating a trauma-informed workshop space where you hold clean power. You know, power in of itself is impact, but if you're holding clean power, there's an attunement, there's a transparency, there's clear responsibility, and there's service, and there's honesty. So my leadership style is very much service-based. So I'm here to serve you for your own becoming. So it's not a performance. It's not, I don't sit up on a sofa. I sit in a back jack with everybody else. I don't walk into the room after everyone's there. I'm the first one there, sitting there waiting to greet and receive people. When there's setups, I help people set up, like these little pieces of shared responsibility, shared care, how we speak to each other. So there's a culture of kindness and care and service that spreads throughout the collective. So, you know, everyone helps with setups, and I call them set changes. But, you know, how you set the culture either enrolls people to feel empowered or they're just going to be obedient. And that's how children work too. My goal isn't to have some people come do inner child work and then be a better obedient child or adult. You know, I have those little kids that will test me. Oh, I can be the bratty kid. I can test the limits, that will just sit there and poke at me. And I'm determined to give them a corrective experience. I'm like, I'm not going to snap at them. I'm not, you know, this is something they need to develop a part of themselves.
Yeah.
So the piece that you're talking about, the enrollment piece, to me is part of trauma-informed facilitation.
I want to pick up a new thread here, which you've already started beautifully speaking into, which is around the nervous system and safety. And I'm curious, I imagine you have a lot to share here, which I'm excited to speak about. But I would love to start with, like, what have you learned about psychological and nervous system safety that changed or really significantly impacted the way that you facilitate?
You can't have meaningful change and integration if you don't bring your nervous system with you. So it's an essential part of the whole process. If there's a forcing, if there's an overriding, you actually leave your body. You're not home in your body to even make choices, let alone understand or integrate what's happening. So for me, I have to be in a deep relationship with the nervous system as I'm creating these workshops and be in synergy with how the nervous system moves so that people can be fully online as they're taking the journey. People being half online, they'll get some things from it, but it won't really fully land. And it creates more opportunities for people to be unsafe. And when they're not in their body or they're overriding their nervous system, um, it sends us into what I call the harm zone. And when you head into the harm zone, you have to come back to your comfort zone and reset and go back to what you know before you can actually go back into change. So it's a much longer process if you take people into the harm zone for them to reset. So the goal when I'm designing these workshops is, can we stay in the range of change and the comfort zone as much as possible?
So when you're holding a group, what are you paying attention to internally and externally in the room? And like, how are you tracking the individual and group nervous system?
Different layers. I'm looking at the physical body. So what's happening in the physical body? Do we have muscle tone? Are people sitting up? Are they alert? Do we have yawning? Yawning's a sign that people are feeling confronted or tired. So, or they need movement. So I'm facial expressions, eye contact. Are they fidgeting? Some people need to fidget. Are they zoning out? Is there tension, like a retraction? Is there a flop in the body? So you can see that physically in the collective group. After two of the rituals in my workshop, I take a moment to have eye contact with every single person. And when I do that, I'm looking for several things. The first is I'm looking into their eyes and I'm feeling their energy body. Are they still moving energy in that moment? Are they what I call kinetic, or are they still? I'm listening to their emotional body. I can feel it. I can see tears, or I can see sadness. I can see joy. I can see and feel through their eyes what they might be feeling emotionally. I'm looking to see how old they are. Are they in their inner child in that moment? Are they in their adult? That's a different expression, a different energetic. It's okay if they're in their inner child, but I want to make sure their inner child is safe. So who am I looking at in that moment? I'm also looking for, is anyone dissociated? Have they gone numb? Have they gone flat? Are they not fully there? I'm also looking to see if they touch something that brought up fear, sorrow, terror. Some people will touch the edge of these things. And so when I look in the eyes of everyone, when I go around the room, I can get a really clear sense of where everybody's just journeyed before they've said anything. And that moment of attunement is something most kids never got from their parent. Let me just take a moment and be with you and have eye contact with you. No words need to be said. I'm just going to sit and feel you and check in with you. And so these little ways that we listen to the nervous system make a huge difference for the safety and trust. People have to trust to go deep. They have to believe that you're listening cleanly and clearly to what's happening for them and the whole group. And when you don't get it right, owning it right away. Hey, I noticed that was a little off here, or that could have been done better. And the whole group, you feel this sigh of relief because they know you were tracking. You were tracking us. It's not about doing it perfectly, but they want to know you're tracking and you're getting them and you're getting the whole field. And so those little micro moments of even watching the body during the tools, like how the body is moving. We do TRE in one of my workshops, trauma release exercise. And so how the body is moving in that. This last workshop, there was one woman, the way she was moving, I'm like, that doesn't look comfortable. Something's off here. I went right over to her and she was regressing into something that wouldn't have been safe content for her. So having eye contact with her, slowly bringing her back, placing my hands gently on one part of her body by asking, and pretty assertively calling her back in to look into my eyes. Where are you? Orienting her. So knowing how to do these little pieces of nervous system touch-ins are pretty vital. And having come from a psychological background, I have a pretty high level of confidence in my ability to listen to those nuances in the container. And then when you have people also supporting that have some experience with this stuff, it just allows the group to feel safer and more trusting to go further to the edges of where they need to go without overriding the nervous system. When you make it part of the culture, I say in the beginning, I'm going to ask you a self-assessment on the feedback form. How did you listen and track your nervous system? Some people are like, I'm an intensity level 3 all the time. And the biggest gift they gave themselves is to be a 1 observing or a 2 moderate level of participation, because they've realized, oh, I kept overriding my nervous system over and over again. And that doesn't actually serve. And maybe the subtle realms is more impactful for me and I didn't even know it. And sometimes there's the people that I need to be a 1. I need to observe it. I need to check it out before I engage with it. I had one woman that did that every time, and she felt so empowered, and her yes was a full yes when she would come in when she was ready. And so teaching people during the workshop to listen to their nervous system and their body. Oh, I'm in the harm zone. Would you like some co-regulation right now so we can support you coming back into your body? So yeah, when it's framed as part of the culture, then people are self-enrolled and can say things like, I dissociated. And we say, welcome back. What did you miss? Let's help you get back with us. It's probably one of the most special parts of this work, and one of the parts people appreciate the most. I tell them, if you learn to listen to yourself better and your self-guided journey is safe for you and empowered for you, then I'm super happy with what you got.
Yeah. Beautiful. I want to pick up there. You said safe, and I want to talk about the word safety. It's a kind of trauma-informed word that's thrown around a lot today. I've even, if I'm very honest, tried to avoid using it to the best of my ability. But when you're using it, like, could we just talk about what it means?
Yeah. So both safety and trauma-informed have become these like skewed, they have some skewed intonation to them. So first, safety is not comfort. It's not coddling. It's not playing small. Psychological safety is actually like the precondition to depth and transformational, period. Safety is actually a stabilized nervous system, in my opinion. So when you have a stabilized nervous system, you're not fragmenting, you're not dissociating, you're in your body. It doesn't mean you're not tired. You can be tired, you can even be exhausted, but still have your nervous system online and be of choice. Like, safety is knowing that you have the ability to make that choice. Your nervous system's online. You're able to be vulnerable. You trust what's emerging in yourself. You trust what's emerging in the collective container. So there's vulnerability, there's trust, your nervous system's online. Um, it allows for like shame to soften. When someone feels safe, also, they have more access to memories. And there's not a lot of overriding with predictable behaviors like fawning or intensity. It leaves a lot more spaciousness. It's almost the permission to slow down a little bit. And if you notice, say in a dyad, when people are arguing, when they slow down, they breathe, they feel themselves, they put their hand on their heart, there's a shift that happens in that conversation when there's an acknowledgement, I need to come back to myself for this. So to me, safety is saying, we're actually creating a situation where we can go the deepest possible by staying with ourselves and with the emerging field that we're creating.
Mm-hmm. And let's do the same thing. I would love to hear your working definition on trauma informed. Just because that was so beautiful. Like when you say do you call your spaces trauma informed?
I sure do.
And then
proudly because
proudly.
and I know what the ideas are in the transformational spaces. It's like, oh, that means it's people are coddled, or it's fragile, or we're indulging people, or we're not getting uncomfortable enough. It's to me, that is a complete misconception of trauma informed and a misunderstanding. So to me, trauma informed means you are optimizing people's ability to choose. And people having the ability to choose powerfully means they are the most empowered possible to take the most expansive journey available. So when we're trauma informed as a facilitator, we're inviting, we're including, we're respecting, we're co-creating. So we're introducing choice points that people can really feel and allowing them to make those choices. So it could be as simple as how they are in the space. So I set up a space where you could sit in a back jack, you could stand, you could sit in a chair. We have chairs or sofa. We have a self-care corner. We have a fort. And you don't even have to be in the room. So just that permission field of where you can be in this space is massive. Let alone how you can be and who you can be in the different experiences. So creating those choice points and creating a conscious way for people to choose is also a beautiful way to empower people. And it dances with the safety. So the more we're respecting people and inviting and including them to co-create, the safer they feel and the clearer we all are together. So it actually allows for the optimal impact and integration of the work. So people are holding this backwards because they don't actually understand that it's not restrictive. It's actually permissionary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It doesn't mean that you're not going to be triggered or have a tough experience, or that everything's going to be padded so that there's no possible impact, but it means that the space is designed to just support you fully through whatever might come up in the moment.
Yes. Yeah. And you can have catharsis in a trauma-informed workshop. Catharsis is temporary relief. Some people that have been so held or avoidant or dissociated and they start thawing out, having temporary relief can be beautiful for them. You can have a transformational experience within a trauma-informed, facilitated container. I think those misconceptions have gotten really convoluted. Now, for me, my focus is on keeping people's, and here's the thing, even with the nervous system, it doesn't mean that people have to be calm. A regulated nervous system doesn't necessarily mean calm. Yeah, I work with this really beautiful functional doctor that I work with, and animals are not calm. Their parasympathetic state is actually this presence. It's presence, it's awareness, it's availability. So they're available, they're present, they're aware to meet whatever's coming at them day to day. And if they need to flip into the sympathetic and go fight, flight, freeze, and keep themselves safe, they can. So when we override the nervous system too much and go into the harm zone, you're just going to have a whole room of people doing fight, flight, freeze, and fawning. And so if we stay within those bounds, people actually can go much deeper into who they are and what they actually want from that experience. So it's actually handing them back the power, really, essentially, is trauma informed.
Yeah. And when you're working with intensity, how, like, I'm just curious to hear some of your strategies for how you work with intensity and catharsis without overwhelming the nervous system or the group system.
So none of my workshops are designed to force an outcome, to activate, or to push people towards catharsis, or peak experiences. That's not the intention. If somebody is taking themselves there, then we meet that and we support that and contain that without activating it or overriding it. I've seen in some containers, like someone's moving something and they're pushing for more and more. It's the permission to move it in the organic way that that person needs to move it, especially in inner child work. How many times have we been told how to be? So if somebody's moving something like sorrow or anger, stop that, or I'll give you something to cry about, and pushing it, we're then recapitulating people's childhoods. So it's like, what if I'm just there with you in it and making sure you're present and you're alert and supporting you in it? And in the sorrow, would you like to be held? Would you like someone to put pressure and hold you and rock you while you feel this? Because how many times did you have to go sit in your closet and cry by yourself? That's what I had to do. And so having someone there to hold you and rock you while you're in the sorrow can be extremely cathartic, but also really grounding for the nervous system. After a lot of our experiences that have some type of emotional expression, we do co-regulation with each other so that we can ground the collective nervous system. We'll do co-regulation as a whole group as well at the end of some of the practices to bring the nervous system down. Sometimes we do TRE. So again, it's designed to do this versus, this, because that's how the nervous system organically works. It goes in waves.
Beautiful. What are some of the red flags, I'm curious, that you see in the facilitation culture right now that you would love to course correct?
I would say leading from ego. This is incredibly humbling work. Going through and reading every single feedback form, addressing or integrating that feedback, we have to be incredibly humble to listen to what people actually want and need in the work. And if we're there to perform or get noticed or be somebody, they can feel it. So really our intentions have to be super clear when we're holding that level of power. And really being humble to take the feedback from your co-facilitators, from the group field, and admit when you're wrong. Every single workshop, I would say there has been a moment where I'm like, hey, I didn't get that right, or I outwardly say I made a mistake and I tell them why. Especially in our childhoods, did our parents actually admit when they made mistakes or come back and say, sorry, I could have done that better? Again, people are so gracious when they feel understood by you and when you own it, when you make a mistake. Like there is a graciousness in that. So humility, I would say, not being integrated and in your wholeness in the work that you're offering, like not owning the mastery of the work. So regurgitating someone else's work or aspects of work that you learned once or twice or even 3 times. Like the work I did with Barry, it took me 4 years to integrate that work. And I worked with other practitioners. And then I traveled the country with him. I was one of 2 people he ever taught in his body of work, the tools that are in my workshop. And I asked him, why did you choose me? And he said, you're persistent and you're teachable. And so I took that to heart. And so when I see people offering something that you don't feel the mastery in their body, you don't feel the completeness of it, there's a little bit of distrust and uncomfortability in that. Like people can't really land or feel like they can go deep because they don't feel you fully integrated in it. I think another piece is people being underdeveloped in holding group containers. And actually these pieces I'm talking about, understanding the nervous system, understanding what optimal integration is, understanding where the harm zone is, having enough availability and enough training and enough skill to take a group deep. And there's some people that do that irresponsibly. They could probably hold a lighter group container, an educational group container, but when you're going that deep, to not have that skill set really developed, harm happens. I would probably say my 4th. I have one more.
That's good.
I'm sorry. I have to say it. The performative aspect. This isn't a performance. It's an authenticity. It's an enrollment. It's calling the group in to express and be and collaborate. It's not about you. I'm an introvert by nature.
Just like me.
I'm just like, my least favorite part of a training is when they put me in the middle to like celebrate me. Like even my birthday, I'm like, ooh, I don't want the attention. When I'm doing this, it is so not about me. It's laying myself on the altar of service for the well-being of these humans. I am focused on them. So people that do go into performance with it, I wouldn't say it's harmful. I just say it's not as effective too.
Beautiful. Thank you. Those were great. We're getting close to the end, but I have at least 2 questions I want to squeeze in here. One is, I'm really curious for your answer to what helps participants turn these peak experiences or breakthroughs into lasting change when they get home. Like, how do you support the integration of this work, basically?
Great question. So it would be a miss if we just ended there. So I tell people, this is an invitation into the work. This week long is going to show you where the rest of the work lies. For some people that have done a lot of work, it could be a period or an end of a chapter of work. But for a lot of people, it's not. So In my workshop, we have 2 months of integration. We call it the aftercare program that's included with the workshop. And it has several components. So one of them is we have an aftercare website. There's journaling prompts you can take to your therapist to deepen the work. There is aftercare protocols. So groups get really creative together. They have accountability buddies or groups, or they have a day. One group right now in aftercare Wednesdays is tools day. And so they all do a roll call check-in to say, I did this tool today, or I did this tool. So we have protocols for the tools to do them in the home environment and using some of the inner child work. We have 2 Zooms. So I lead one and I do an aftercare lesson on how to work with your inner child at home. So a deeper exploration on connecting with your inner child back in your real life. And then we do a check-in. And then my co-facilitator leads a check-in as well. And then we have our WhatsApp thread, and people share their ahas and share their struggles. Like the person that lost their mother this week shared with us, and we were able to support her. So there's still a collective group field that's quite supportive for 2 months as people are landing at home. So they still feel the care and support. They still are doing the tools for 2 months. And so taking it from this, kind of extraordinary experience and bringing it into the home, they actually have me, the co-facilitator, each other to find their way to not only just landing, but they have 2 months of what actually sticks, what's actually here for me. And it's not a promise of this fix everything. I never say that. I'm like, you might need therapy. We have referrals on the referral pages for different types of support and treatment. But just having people in these extraordinary, caring, contained containers and then sending them back out into the world, which is not like that, can feel incredibly abrupt and harsh. So having a taper, having that added cushion and support for them to land and figure out next steps, to me is paramount. Doing the things at home, talking to your little at home, doing TRE at home, doing the other tools in that environment and making it part of your routine and having support to do that is super relevant for integration.
Amazing. Thank you. Wow. That's a very upgraded version from what I've heard before. And I love it. I'm inspired. I have a question, and this is for my own. This is in the book of Rachel's own selfish personal curiosities, and it's been hanging out with me since the beginning. So I'm just gonna risk asking it.
Great.
So one of the most challenging aspects for me, and I've definitely gotten better at it. It was harder at the beginning, but I've worked with this a lot, has been the mother projection that I get from participants. And I'm just imagining being you and holding inner child experiences, and I'm imagining the projection potential. And I'm like, what is that like? Is it less projection because people are actually working on their mother stuff that some of it releases off of you? Is it more because now you're either the mother we never had or the whatever? Is it some third option? And how do you like de-roll or give the power back, or like how do you do that? That's what I want to know.
Great question. I was like, what is she going to ask? It's a great one. I'm going to go with option 2 for the most part.
I imagine.
With some caveats. So since it's a personal question, I'm going to add a little bit of a personal answer too. So I helped raise 2 stepdaughters from ages 11 to 15 into adulthood, but I never chose to birth or organically wanted to raise children. And I asked the universe when I was of birthing age, would I benefit the world more by raising children in a family of my own, or would it be to contribute to the world in a different way? So ironically, I have become a mother figure to hundreds of people around the country. I am the liberation mama.
Yeah.
And so it's so beautiful how the universe said, hey, we're going to have you be a mother, but in a really different way. And I really do embrace that. There is some people that need to project that directly onto me during the workshop because they need a corrective experience with the impressions they got with their mother. Some people do it in a more subtle way, but they are tracking me so nuanced. So my level of integrity and attunement has to be so impeccable. Even if I say, that's not the right answer. Like, I can't even say that's not the right answer because I will get someone on a feedback for commenting about that. And then I have to go clear it with them. You're going to go, oh my gosh, it's such a high level of sensitivity. It is. I'm actually enrolled myself in them to help them correct their parent wounds. Like I am signing up to support people with that. Do I do it perfectly? No, but I understand the responsibility of it. And I'm really attuned to it. And in every single exchange, whether it's dinner, whether it's during a break, whether it's me looking at them during the lesson, I know they are all tracking me, whether it's as a mother, their mother figure projection or a mother figure period. And so I've learned to move in a way that embodies the ideal divine mother as best as I can without performance. I'm unapologetically myself as well. I am goofy. I am quirky. I am silly. I am intelligent. And so there's an endearment there with the authenticity. So I'm the mother of myself. Does that make sense? So when I get to give that to other people, it's also reparenting myself at the same time. It's like I get to give you what I didn't get as well. So there's a reciprocal healing process that happens in that. And you have to be impeccable.
Yeah.
And it's a lot sometimes, but it's a beautiful responsibility.